Hi everyone! For my informational interview, I interviewed Detective English Qualls at the Phoenix Police Department. My mom works at the PD and she was able to get her contact information where I emailed her and she accepted my in-person interview. So the reason why I chose Detective Qualls is because I'm a criminal justice major. I wanted to choose someone who works in the criminal justice system, so I thought I should start off with someone in the police department since the justice process starts with law enforcement. Detective Qualls is part of the Employment Services Bureau in the Background Investigation Unit in the Phoenix PD. My initial assumptions about her occupations were that she conducts interviews and makes sure that the interviewee's background information is checked. I also assumed that with her kind of career, she's unable to have a work-life balance because being a detective, she would have to work overtime and spend long nights at the PD. So walking inside the background investigations unit, I assumed that it was going to look mundane since it's known to be a serious job in a professional environment, but I was surprised to see all the Valentine's decorations set up, the pink lights and the hearts in the ceiling. It showed me that this job, or any kind of job, doesn't need to have a formal setting. In her interview, I asked Detective Qualls what her daily tasks were, as I assumed her responsibility is to examine people's backgrounds for those who want to apply for jobs in the PD. But she went in more in depth of what she searches for, like see if they're a good applicant for the department, if they meet the qualifications for the AZ post, and also finding that what the city is looking for in an employee. I asked for what's the environment like in her career, and she looked more into the environment's diversity and history. She stated how the environment has gotten better over time because in the past, law enforcement has been seen as a male-oriented job. She likes how the PD in later years has recognized more diverse people to represent not only the department but also the city. Additionally, Detective Qualls stated how she likes how the PD has been encouraging more women to join because they can be equally as great, if not better, than most men in the job. Since having a work-life balance is one of my top values in the job, I asked if she's able to have that in this position. And Detective Qualls stated yes, she's fortunate to have that. She told me how important that value means to her because she likes to be able to separate herself and her career. She said her career isn't her entire identity and that she's like everyone else who has family, friends, and hobbies that she would like to have time for. Her position's already stressful enough, and it's good to have something to unwind on. Her answer surprised me because I didn't think a detective would actually have that balance. Because having a stressful job like hers, I would assume a lot of detectives would work overtime and stay in the PD, the building. I was just relieved when she gave me that answer. Lastly, I asked her what advice would she give someone who is interested in entering this career. She stated that it's important to make sure you're coming into this career for the right reasons, because it can be a culture shock for what you might see in this position. She believes that people must be in a good mental health because they may see a lot of trauma and stress that we might never experience in our life. She says to ask yourself, how will you handle it, and where are you mentally at that this job would not affect your viewpoint of the world. She believes you must have a good heart and not let the power of law enforcement affect you or control you. Overall, this interview went very smooth. I learned a lot of information about Detective Qualls as a person and her occupation. I love how informative she was with every question I asked and giving detailed responses. I prepared myself for any questions she might have asked while I'm doing this interview, but she questioned me if any of my criminal justice classes had sworn officers visit as guests for the class. And I said yes, but it wasn't the Phoenix PD, it was the LA PD instead. And she gave me a shocked face when I told her that. As she walked me out, she would love to bring herself and other Phoenix sworn officers to come visit as guests to encourage more students to join the PD. I found it really cool that she was open to speaking to criminal justice students and sharing her knowledge. Her career as a background detective has really changed my perspective because I only thought she needed to just do examinations on people's backgrounds, but she actually has to do patrol work like a regular sworn officer. I see that within this career it can be quite challenging because her and other officers have to regularly see traumatic situations, which most of us would never see in our lives. So it really makes me realize how strong of a mentality you really should have in this occupation. From this experience, I have learned that it's important to get information about a career from the professionals themselves, as they can share their experiences with you and go more in depth with the environment and what the environment of the job is really like. I feel like it's better than doing a quick Google research because not only did I delve into the environment, I also got to network and receive additional information about the Phoenix PD. And I don't think Google will ever actually let me get a hold of this stuff. So overall, this has been a great process of my career development. Okay, thank you.